All right, welcome to the youth room. Y'all don't get to experience this on Wednesday nights. This is what we do every Wednesday night. Now, somebody has jacked my 8-track tape that was back here, but I want to give you a quick lesson real quick because everybody loves to fuss about this generation, but I want to tell you something. I'm actually 55 plus, so we'll leave that there. So I'm in the older group, and what I've learned now is that the older people are a lot less accepting than the young folk are. So what I want to give to you tonight is this. Y'all know what this is? That's a record. They're making a comeback, by the way. They're everywhere. You don't believe things repeat itself? This is where we are. If you don't believe it, just look at history from World War II and where we are right now in America. Anyway, this is a record. The most downloaded song of all time. Anybody know what it is? That's not Christian. Amazing Grace is actually, but anybody know what it is? Jolene from Dolly Parton. Why? Because it's still hitting charts today. That is recorded on this means. Dolly Parton had a record. Now, this is where I'd pull out my 8-track. But somebody took it. It was back there. It's gone. Want something to disappear? Bring it to the church. Anyway, there's an 8-track tape. Guess what? Jolene is recorded on that. Then, y'all know what this is? That's a cassette. Now, half the kids in here didn't know what an 8-track or a cassette was. They knew what a record was. But guess what? Jolene has been recorded on this. You know what this is? CD. Guess what? Okay, y'all got to work with me. Jolene's been recorded on this. Then we've graduated to Apple Music, digital downloads. You know what? Jolene's been recorded on this. All this to say this to you. The same message, the same music, the same everything can come at you from a bunch of different methods. So I don't care if you're 80 years old in here or you ain't. It's the same gospel in here that you get over there on Sundays. So if you come in here thinking this was just for kids and youth, guess what? You need to check yourself with Jesus. Because Jesus said that. In fact, he actually said if you're going to come into my kingdom, you're going to have to come as a child. Not as an adult. You know why? Because, man, them kids, they offer something else. And the kids are like, man, I'm following your lead. So here's what we got to do. That same gospel that you had on this, and this is still the same message. It's still the same lyrics to Jolene on every single recording. It's still Dolly Parton's voice. So it doesn't matter about the method. What matters is the message. And the message that we're going to get tonight is about a spiritual rite of passage that, to be honest with you, most churches don't do anymore. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we get to all that, we do announcements in here. So roll that video for me.
Hey everybody, I'm Alexandra.
I'm Caroline.
And I'm Taylor.
And welcome back to the Stand News. Remember that we have Bible studies all throughout the week. On Mondays, we have Middle School Monday at 6:30. On Tuesdays, we have high school girls at 7:30 at the DeBose house. On Thursdays, we have high school boys at 6:30, wherever they say it is. And Sunday, we have college age group Bible study at 6:45 at the DeBose house.
Also, on Sundays, we have Sunday school from 10:10 to 10:40 here in the youth room. Make sure you are at Sunday school. Also, we have drama practice on Sundays as well from 4 to 6 here in the youth room or at DreamWorks, depending on where Haley tells us. We're working on some new things, so a great time to join the drama team.
Remember that next week we will have a special guest speaker, our youth director, Josh Martin. He's coming to speak to us, so make sure that you are here.
This Saturday, we are having the Family Easter Day, and they are in need of volunteers that can help act out the Easter story. So please, please, please go see Haley.
Next Friday, on Good Friday, we are going to have live communion at the church. It's going to start at 10, and it's going to be every 30 minutes until 5. And you can come in and take communion with the disciples and Jesus, and it is such, I don't even know how to explain it other than just a different experience. Mm-hmm. It's very cool, and I think that you should definitely be a part of it and take part of it. And also, that Sunday is Easter Sunday, so we are going to have, well, one service, and we're also going to have one service this Sunday because it is the start of our 2-week Easter program. So make sure that you are here. You go to Sunday school at 10:10 like normal, and you are here for the one service at 11 a.m. to watch the Easter program.
For Stand Student Lifeguard News this week, we have, drumroll please, Michael got his license!
Yay, Michael!
And that is all we have this week, so please don't forget to send us your stuff. Here's all of our numbers right here.
We have to pray over the offering,
my
guys.
God.
Bow your heads and close your eyes. God, I thank you for bringing all of us here tonight, and I pray over the message that Neil is going to deliver, and I pray that you bless this offering and let us have a great night. Amen.
Amen!
2 minutes. Go to the bathroom.
2 minutes!
Love you guys. See you next week. Do the speak.
Encouraging Kayla.
I'll praise you.
Real quick, let me explain something to you. We give them 2 minutes to
Why
go
is it a
use the bathroom
remix?
now because they don't
As
go out
long
once
as
praise
I'm
and worship
breathing,
starts.
I
So that's just some
got a
housekeeping that we do. Go ahead and use the bathroom now because you ain't going out during church. My mama taught me that.
Oh, my soul.
Welcome back. If you would stand, come forward and worship with us.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. You are holy. There is no one like
God from age to age. Though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Yeah, and history can prove there is nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Sing, great is your faithfulness to me. Oh, great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus. He's my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. 'Cause he'll never let me down. No, I put my faith in Jesus. He's my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let, sing, I put my faith in, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope. He'll never let me down. Sing, I put my faith in, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope. He'll never let me down. Oh, great is your faithfulness to me. Oh, great is your faithfulness. From the rising sun, to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. 'Cause I put my faith in Jesus. He's my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Sing, I put my faith in. He's my anchor to the ground. He's my hope. He'll never let you down. Sing, I put my faith Reason great is your faithfulness to me.
Thank you guys so much. You may be seated. You may be seated. And my sermon title tonight is Step to It. Step to It. Now, what does that even mean? It's kind of a modern term that actually means to meet a challenge or to confront. I can't let this insult go unchallenged, so I step to it. To begin a project or a plan, quickly or urgently. To have permission, so step to it. That's what that means. So I thought about this, and then I thought about step. Just hang with me because we're going somewhere with this. Step. What does the definition of step? An act or a movement of putting one leg in front of the other in walking or running. A flat surface, especially one in a series on which to place one's foot when moving from one level to another. I like that part. Then, to make advancement or to move forward. A progression in a series of events. Progression. Progress. Moving forward. Steps. Tonight, our scripture is John chapter 13. John chapter 13. This is a rite of passage that, to be honest, is not really done much anymore. This is a spiritual rite of passage that's probably one of the most humbling experiences that you'll ever have in your life. Foot washing. How many in here have never been a part of a foot washing service? Oh, wow. Wow. This coming Sunday at 5 o'clock, is that what I heard? I think it's at 5 o'clock we're having a foot washing service. Not everybody is comfortable with all that, but after tonight, I hope there's a connection that you make to this. John chapter 13. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper being ended, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper, laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel which he was girded. Then he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, Lord, are you washing my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. And Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus said to him, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, you are not all clean. So when he had washed their feet, taken his garments, and sat down again, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You shall, me, teacher and Lord, and you shall, well, for so I am. If then your Lord and teacher have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is no greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, get this, blessed are you if you do them. Blessed are you if you do them. Now, foot washing is actually a task that was reserved for servants. Now, it was a lowly job. It was something that even the lowest of the low didn't want to do. A modern day example of foot washing would be having to clean the toilets. How many of you ever had to clean the toilet at your house? I want y'all to look at how many teenagers ain't had to raise their hand. Man, every Saturday, Joyce DeBose be all over us. And I hated when I had to clean the toilets. Nasty. Nasty. But here's the deal. If there were no servants available, the least important person in the room would take on the task. Now, how would y'all like us to have to decide who was the lowest person in the room? How we going to, yeah, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. How we going to do that in here? Or some of y'all going to point, I'm better than you. See, that's what starts to happen. Because some people just think they better now. I ain't washing nobody's feet. I ain't serving nobody. I get mines. And we miss the whole blessing. And here's the thing. So the least person in the room, it may be a child washing their father's feet or an employee washing their boss's feet. Now picture this. The disciples, they're preparing for a feast. But there was no servant to greet them. So they show up and there's no servant. Instead, Jesus, who they knew was the Messiah. If anybody knew, there's two people in the Bible, or a group and a person. Y'all, the most unbiblical song I've ever heard in my life was Mary, Did You Know? There ain't nobody in the world who knew Jesus was any more the Son of God than Mary. She knew more than anybody. She knew that she was chosen. The angel spoke to her and told her. She knew. So Mary, did you know? Oh, absolutely, she knew. Now, Joseph had questions. Maybe it should have been Joseph, do you know? It wasn't Mary. Mary knew. The disciples, they knew. How did they know? Because they had walked with him, talked with him, ate with him, slept with him. They had done everything with Jesus. 24 hours a day. For over 3 years at this point. When you spend that much time with somebody, you've met. Don't you think? You've met them. You know what they're going to say, what they're going to do. They knew for a fact that Jesus was the Messiah. So can you imagine what's going through their mind? Because culture has already taught them when you walk into the room, the lowest person in the room is going to wash your feet. And then Jesus stands up. What? Y'all, excuse me, this is the way Jesus and I have conversations. I'm like, man, you better sit down. You, Jesus. What do you think you're doing? I'm not sure you can correct Jesus, but I mean, no. You're the Son of God. What are you doing standing up taking the role of a servant? But this is what's going on. So here's the deal. They're preparing. Jesus takes off his outer robe. This is what we read. It says Jesus took off his outer robe. Do you know what that means? Everywhere you find in the Bible where someone is in a robe. In other words, just like this, y'all know the story of the prodigal son. Everybody in here should know it. The story of the prodigal son. When the prodigal son returned home, anybody know what the father said? What's the first thing he said to do? Give him a robe. You know why? That's a covering. That's the anointing. That's the deity. My mama used to say it like this: as long as you're in my house. Oh, y'all act like y'all ain't never done wrong. Well, excuse me, you perfect people, but my mama used to tell me, if you're under my roof, and so what the Father is saying, you coming home, but guess what? The ring represents authority. The ring is where you could put it in wax, you stick it on something, and all the world recognize you had the insignia of your house. But I'm not giving you that ring unless you can go under the covering. Okay, y'all can act quiet all you want to, but that's good principles right there. Maybe this is why Sumter's the way it is. We don't want to put this stuff into practice. Sit here and be quiet if you want to, but you better learn something tonight. And that's simply this. Everybody wants that ring. They want that authority, but ain't nobody want to be under the covering. I love everybody in here, I do. And I honestly believe with all of my heart that if somebody were to walk in this room and said one person has to die, I know where I'm going. You can take me. But I'm telling you this. I've told my youth group this, so adults, you need to hear this. But if they come in here and say, okay, Neil, I'm going to have to kill either Walker or Haley for everybody else in here to be safe, y'all better get your life right because you're going to die. You gonna die. I'm not giving up my children, but you know what? When I die, not a single one of you in here is going to get my money. Well, actually, it'd be my bills because that's what you'd inherit. But you're not getting any of that. You know why? Your last name ain't DeBose. You don't have that covering. I'm about tired of everybody trying to walk around wanting Jesus to bless them, but they don't want to operate up underneath the covering. What you want is you want God to bless you in all of your life. Well, guess what? You got to do... If you're going to live under his roof, you're going to have to do what he tells you to do. You can't live your life any way you want to live it and expect God to reap blessings on you. I don't know who come up with this whole thing that if you've got trouble going on in your life, and y'all, we've had people come through the doors of this church that believe this with all of their heart. If you've got some things that are happening to you that are not good, you need to check your spiritual life because you're not blessed. Well, by that principle, Jesus was in trouble of going to hell himself, because you can't tell me somebody ripping the beard off of your face that felt good. You can't tell me that getting spit on made him happy. Y'all, I can be long-suffering, but if you ever spit in my face, you better either pray or run to your mama, because me and you's about to fight. I can't take that. So you can't tell me that bad things do happen to good people. In fact, Paul said it like this: you better count it all joy when you're persecuted. Persecution hurts. So anybody that wants to tell you this life of Christ brings you nothing but blessings and joy, it's going to bring you joy, but as the pastor taught Sunday, guess what? Happiness is an outward expression. Joy is an inward expression. Joy is something that I have, don't matter if you cussing me out or if you shaking my hand. Now, my happiness is based off of that, but not joy. This is why the joy of the Lord is your strength. Because even in bad situations, when people are making fun of you for being a Christian, you can look at them and say, you just don't understand. You just don't get it. Make fun of me all you want to, but I know where I'm going. This whole world, we taught our Sunday school lesson this past Sunday was playing for keeps. We talked about what gold was. It is the most prized commodity in the United States right now. Trevor actually Googled Sunday morning during Sunday school. In fact, y'all better get in Sunday school. If you're not in Sunday school, shame on you. But anyway, Trevor Googled and it was like, what, $2,000 an ounce? Huh? Yes, $2,000 an ounce. So we worried about what somebody thinks about me because the whole world's trying to get just an ounce, because that's $2,000. Y'all know what the streets are paved with in heaven? Gold. So God's looking at you. Y'all fighting over pavement? Y'all been in Sumter? We got a few potholes around here. Oh, that's the first time all y'all made a connection with what's being said tonight. And while you're riding around looking at all those potholes, what you need to do is say, why am I putting my treasures here? Why am I wanting blessings from the world and to be accepted by the world when God is filling his potholes up there with the stuff they fighting and killing trying to get down here? Does that make sense to you? And that's who you want to please? I'd rather go with the man that's using it for pavement. That's who I want to be blessed with. So what we see here is that God took off his deity. What he's saying is, I'm still God, but I want you to understand something. I'm a servant. I'm a servant. Because see, what we've got in the church world, I'm just going to be honest, and church folk, what we've got is most people would rather have a title than a towel. They're more concerned about being called apostle, pastor, bishop, whatever. And Jesus is like, man, just give me a towel. I just want to wash feet. That's the example he's giving you. Oh, I don't want to pick up the trash at the church. I want to teach Sunday school. Oh, no. I don't want to clean the bathrooms. I want to sing a solo. And God all the while saying, that's not who I'm blessed by. I'm blessed by the people who are willing to serve. The ones who are willing to do something. Because, see, it's not about programs. It's not about anything else other than the presence of God. And what God realized here is I'm taking off my deity to let you know I am in the flesh. I put on an earth suit. I became human to come down to this earth to let you know it can be done. You can serve. And this is what he does. Then, after he does that, he says, here's Jesus, the Son of God, taking the role of a servant. You see, in Jesus' time, people wore sandals or were barefooted. Roads are made out of dirt, sand. Washing someone's feet was not a physical act of cleanliness, but it was a symbol of humility and service. Can you imagine what some of them feet look like? They didn't have pedicures back then. All y'all going to get pedicures? Never mind. I've been to get some. Y'all look at me funny all you want to. My daughter talked me into the first one, and now I'm like, man, I like that stuff. Can you imagine? Y'all, I don't do feet. I can't stand feet. I don't care who you are. Put your foot on me. That's about like spitting on me. I'm going to punch you. Get your nasty feet off me. Y'all, in the course of youth ministry, being a counselor at youth camp or going to Winterfest and being in the room with some of them, y'all have no idea how some people's feet smell. I can't imagine what it was like. Maybe Nathaniel's sitting there and he goes, James, your feet stink. Jesus is coming around to wash your feet. You can't do something? Can you imagine how dirty? See, it's one thing for us to have a foot washing service because most of us, we take baths. I hope. Most of us use soap. We got clean feet. But there ain't no Dr. Scholl's back then. There ain't no outgrow to fix all them ingrown toenails that they had. There wasn't no tea tree oil to fix all their toe fungus. I can't imagine what those feet looked like. But you know what? It didn't matter to Jesus. He knelt down and he said, I'm going to wash feet. Then he says this. But why did Jesus do this? Well, he explained it himself in verses 14 and 15. He says this, I have set you an example that you should do as I have done. Anybody in here think you better than Jesus? If you do, please don't raise your hand. Well, maybe you do, because God might strike you dead, and that'd be great on YouTube. But can you imagine? So if Jesus says, this is what I did, you think you're better than me? And this is basically what he says. So as I've done as a servant, you do likewise. Wow. Wow. Then he wraps a towel around his waist. He knelt down and he poured water in a basin. This reminds me of John chapter 7, verses 38 and 39. When you become a servant, it says the Holy Spirit will flow from you like rivers of living water. Eddie James has a song that says, out of your belly. You know, and this is what it is. When you begin to serve and when you begin to set aside your deity, when you think you something and realize that you're here to serve, when we realize that, God, I want to do whatever you ask me to do, it's going to just start flowing through you too. Water will be pouring out of you. So we see this. Can you imagine how shocking and humbling that it must have been for the disciples? Because like I said, they knew he was Jesus. Here's what's funny. Not funny, ha ha. But this is what's odd. Because most of you in here can't get along with your neighbor. Most of you in here got attitudes with people sitting in the room right now. But yet Jesus knew that Peter was going to deny him. He washed Peter's feet. He knew that Judas was about to betray him. He washed Judas's feet. Let me give you another side sermon. Everywhere in the Bible where you see somebody was promoted to the next spiritual level, it started with a betrayal. If you'll notice something, when Judas came to Jesus to betray him, we're back to that title versus towel thing. You know what Judas called him? Anybody know? What did Judas say when he approached him in the garden? Rabbi. Teacher. See, Judas still didn't get it. Jesus is like, it's not about being a rabbi. It's not about being a teacher. What it's about is being a servant. I'm here to serve. I didn't come into this world as a king. I came to serve. When you realize that that towel of washing somebody's feet is way more important than the title that you're going to be given, God will begin to move in your life. You'll get the promotion to the next level. There's a part in here where Peter is sitting there. Jesus comes around to wash Peter's feet. And Peter's like, whoa, what are you doing? No. Some of you older folk in here that have been in this church for a long time will remember this name, but this is probably the best spiritual lesson I've ever learned in my life. There was a man in this church by the name of Bob West. Bob West was the music pastor of this church when we first came here. That was at the old church in like 1988. When we came to this church, Bob West approached me. I was a teenage kid that was older teen, young adult, that, just to be honest, had a different life than what I've got now. Let's just leave that right there. But Bob West approached me in that church and he said, well, hey, young man, can you sing and do you play softball? Those of you may not remember this, but Bob West was one of the best pitchers I'd ever seen in my life in the Sumter County Softball League. I watched that man field a blind drive ball with his bare hand, throw it behind his back to first base. Now, I played softball with his son Richie for a few years in like competitive traveling softball, like getting paid to play softball. His son Richie. And I used to always pick at Richie and say, boy, I wish you was as good as your daddy was. Bob West was an incredible softball player. But Bob West was also the choir director. And then Miss Yvonne come, and she was the music director, and Bob moved into the choir. And one of the most incredible men I'd ever met in my life. Bob West would hug my neck every single church service. And he would say, I love you, son. I was in sin. Didn't care nothing about church, nor my relationship with Christ. But every single church service, y'all, my mama made me go. I love you, son. I'll never forget. We had just moved into this building, and we had the first foot washing service in here. That's about 16 years ago. We had a big old circle right here. And the pastor asked everybody to just start washing people's feet. Bob West grabbed a basin. And he walked over and he knelt down in front of me and he said, Pastor Neil, which I don't make anybody call me pastor. I'm not big on titles, as you can tell. So it kind of caught me off guard when he called me pastor, because a part of my spiritual relationship is based off the fact that he showed me God's love Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And here's this man that kneels down in front of me and he says, it would sure be a blessing to me if you let me wash your feet. Y'all, for the first moment in my life, I understood Peter's mindset. Bob West, you not washing my feet. You Bob West. No, sir. I should be washing your feet. Y'all, that thing got me. I have never experienced anything like that in my life. And I finally understood the points of foot washing. Because I don't know if it was tougher for me to wash feet or to allow someone who I respected and admired and looked up to wash mine. Can you imagine Peter sitting there and Jesus trying to wash his feet? So what does foot washing teach us about being a follower of Jesus? There's three big things. The first one is this: humility. Jesus, the Son of God, humbled himself to serve others. As his followers, you're called to do likewise. Second thing, love in action. Love in action. Washing feet was an act of love and care. It's not just about saying that we love others, it's about showing it through our actions, even the most humble of tasks. Then, equality. In washing the disciples' feet, Jesus showed that no one task is beneath the other. I used to say for years, the most important person in this church was a guy by the name of Bob Robinson. Why? Bob Robinson was always the one who rode his bicycle to church and cut on the heat or the air in the church, like hours before anybody else would show up. So to me, the most important person in the church during the summertime wasn't the preacher. It wasn't the choir singers. It wasn't Sunday school teachers. It was Bob Robinson, because he come and cut the air on. Nobody ever knew this for years. Nobody had a clue that every single Saturday night he was watering the plants at the old church. Nobody ever had a clue that every single week he was putting the tithe envelopes in the back of the chairs. He did it when we moved in here. Anybody ever done that task in here? I have. Can I tell you something? Y'all, there's 79,000 square feet in here. I challenge you. Man, your calves and hamstrings be burning. Your back be hurting. You put the Tylenol envelopes in them chairs. And that joker did it every single week. Made sure that stuff was there. Name what never in the bulletin. By the way, he folded the bulletins for years until we got advanced and got a folding copy machine that I don't know how to work. But anyway, he did it by hand, week after week after week. Nobody ever said, but we need a Bob Robinson Day is what we needed. And all the stuff he did at the church that nobody ever knew he did. Why? He didn't do it to get his name in the bulletin. He did it because he loved Jesus and he wanted to serve. Here's another thing to let you know. Bob Robinson was legally blind. So he did all this without using the excuse that most of us would have used. But he did it. Love in action, equality. So tonight, as we reflect on Jesus' example of foot washing, I want you to ask yourself for the next few moments. Walker, if you'll start some of the altar music back there, please, sir. Are you coming to play? Good. As we reflect on Jesus' example of foot washing, I want you to think for a few minutes. How can you humble yourself to serve others? What can you do? Don't really have any excuses. Let me just say this. If you're in here and you're over the age of 60, that's not an excuse. You know why? Because there's a generation that needs to learn by your example. I'll never ever forget the first time we did a Valentine's banquet. We acted out a song. Anybody in here remember the comedian Ray Stevens? Ray Stevens had a song, The Mississippi Squirrel. Y'all remember this song? We acted out this song as a drama team, and I will never ever forget. Josh Wilkes did a scene where he was just shouting. And it was so funny because we were like, that thing looked real. Where did you learn how to shout like that? His exact words, watching my papa in church. Huh. Don't think they not watching you. Don't think they don't notice when you don't come to church. Don't think they don't notice the times you would walk out when they would have a youth service. What if they did your 11 o'clock church service that way? Just got up and all walked out because oh wait, I thought it was youth service. I didn't know it was 11 o'clock service. What if they did that? In fact, I'm going to tell you this. If you're not supporting and getting involved, you're not fulfilling the principle God gave you, because older women, you're supposed to be instructing the younger ones instead of fussing about them. Because they're going to do what they see a whole lot more than what they hear. What are we doing? What can you do to serve? How can you show love through your actions? How can you show love through your actions? You ever wondered how somebody knows? You ever had somebody just come up to you and say, hey, are you a Christian? And they don't know you? How did they know that? Now, Jesus actually told us that we'll have the aroma of Christ. I'm not sure what a Christian smells like. I've often wondered that. Wonder what a Christian smells like. Why does God bring up smells in the Bible? Like in the throne room of God, it says the prayers of the saints are in a bowl in the throne room, and it is a sweet aroma in the nostrils of God. What do your prayers smell like? Wonder if they stink sometimes because all you do is ask for God to give you something or fix something. Wonder if the wants and the fixed prayers smell different than the ones that says, God, I just thank you for everything you've already done for me. God, you don't ever have to do anything else for me. You bless me. Wonder which one of those prayers smells the best to God. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Wonder what a Christian smells like. And then wonder if there's levels of smell. You know, like cheap perfume may smell good for a little bit, but I'm sure the expensive perfume probably smells better. Maybe you just a cheap perfume Christian. I don't know. I'm just saying. Oh, that's a cheap perfume Christian right there. Whoa, that's too much. That's stinks. Or does God say, wow, what a sweet aroma? Because I'm going to be honest. Have y'all ever smelt frankincense and myrrh? Y'all ever smelled them? So my first thought is, this is what the wise men, that wasn't too smart. That's what you brought to Jesus. That stuff stinks. Wonder what it smells like. Wonder what a Christian smells like. Wonder if that's what it is, because people are like, are you one of them Christians? Why did you ask that? The problem is most can't recognize anymore because we're not much different than the world. You act like, talk like, go to same places. What makes you different? You're supposed to be in the world but not of the world. Since when did manners become Christian principles? You can hold the door for somebody now and they're like, oh, you must be a Christian. Why? Because I held the door. My mama taught me to have manners. Didn't have nothing to do with my relationship with God. It's just what you're supposed to do. We have gotten that slack, just to be honest, that the world can't recognize Christian principles from just manners. There's a lot of good people going to be in hell because it ain't about you having manners. It's about you having a relationship and acknowledging that Jesus Christ is the Lord of your life. But how do we love them into the kingdom? What do we do? What is the love in action? How can we show love through our actions? Then this, how can we embrace equality and serve others regardless of status? This is probably the one most difficult. Because most of us have the thought from time to time that we're just better than somebody else. But yet Jesus said, as you've done to the least of these, you've done to me. If you knew that that person that you hate the most right now, if you knew that person was an angel or Jesus, how would it change your mindset of the way you talk to them or treat them? That hurt. The reason we don't progress is because most of us are not honest with ourselves. And to be honest, you're not fooling anybody else. And God already knows. Challenge is this. The step tonight is up to you. Do you step towards being humble? Are you going to step to it and putting your love into action? Because I'm going to be honest. This generation now is about tired of the adults' talk. Because we've talked for years. This generation now, you got to show them something. One of the coaches, I work for FCA as well, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I'm eyeball deep in Sumter High. I get to travel with the football team, which is a bigger mission field than I've been to the Philippines and Guatemala. Those mission fields ain't nowhere near Sumter High School. I'm just telling you right now. You don't believe that? Then you got Crestwood and Lakewood. Total up all that and go look at the population of any foreign country you want to go to. I started this season, there were 108 guys in the room talking to the football team at Sumter High, and I said, if you attend church regularly, I want you to stand. By regularly, let's just say twice a month. Just twice a month. We have less than 30 out of 108 stand up. These kids around here ain't going to church. Stop complaining about something and invite somebody to church. That's the only way it's going to change. But you want a mission field? In fact, Jesus gave you the order you're supposed to go. Judea, then Samaria, then to the world. If you can't knock on your neighbor's door, you have no right to sign up to go somewhere else. Because Jesus said, if Judea, Samaria, then the world, means Sumter, then South Carolina, then the world. You can't worry about Sumter. Don't be worried about nobody else. You know why we can't knock on our neighbor's door? Because they know you. It's easier to go to a foreign country and witness because they don't know who you are. And so the whole deal is this. You want love in action? Start being a missionary right here. You can go sit at the brand new gas station that's just been built up the road. Do they look and say, what's different about you? There's your open door. Well, let me tell you what's different. There's a God that came into my life that changed everything about me. You have a chance. You have a choice. What do we do with those? What will you do with these? Will you step to it? Because the kingdom of God is not about you. It's not about me. Nobody in here is God's secret weapon. In fact, in all honesty, God don't need any of us. He wants us. There's a difference. There's a big difference. One of the best quotes I ever heard, I was at a youth conference, and there was a man that was a product of Operation Compassion. Somebody had adopted him. He came to America and graduated. He said, I graduated from your American schools, but I'm from Africa. He said, I'm called to be a missionary to America because you have become the cesspool of sin. Ouch. Ouch. Then he said, let me tell you the difference between the way I was raised and the way you were raised. The way I was raised, or the way you were raised, you believe in God. The way I was raised, we depend on God. There's a difference. The devil believes in him. But when you give it all up to depend on God, will you step to it? It's about serving. I hope this gives you a different perspective about foot washing services. They're not the most popular, and the reason they're not is because nobody wants to serve. I used to pick at my mom when she was alive because she would always say, I'm old, I'm retired. To which my comeback was, I'm glad Methuselah didn't feel that way. I'm glad Abraham and Sarah didn't feel that way before they gave birth to Isaac. In fact, he did say, I'm old. And basically God, my interpretation, God's like, shut up. It's not about age. It's about the heart. God's called us to serve. Sunday at 5 o'clock, we have a chance for one of the most humbling spiritual rites of passage that I've ever been a part of. But this week, the rest of this week, I want you to think self-reflection. Not just about the physical act of washing somebody's feet, but about saying, God, how can I better humble myself? I've made this joke before. The pastor, and I know this guy, there's a pastor in our state who actually made the statement. I think one of my spiritual strong points is I'm a very humble person. In fact, I'm one of the most humble people I know. Man, that thing got me, and I'm about dying laughing. I'm looking at the preacher. Y'all don't know Al Sims. Al Sims will cut up and get you in trouble in a minute. So I'm laughing, and the preacher's like, stop. Anyway, I'm like, really? And this is the world we're in. I'm humble. How can I love people better? How can I serve? As I close this out, I'm going to ask you to stand. One of the best ways that you can actually serve is being an active participant in services. This generation needs to see how to worship, how to pray. The examples. Don't think they're not paying attention. For 31 years, my mom was wondering if I was going to come back to God. In fact, she used to say to me all the time, that manipulation thing, that my mama was great with guilt trips. She could drive a bus over you in a heartbeat through a guilt trip. But her thing would be, Lord, I hope you didn't lie to me, because you said if I raised him right, he'd come back. But boy, he ain't doing it. But I remember every lesson. I remember hearing that lady by her rocking chair in her room praying over her son when he would come home. I remember her praying, God, make him so miserable until he just says yes. I'm so grateful for the examples that have been given to me from a generation that was before me. The Bob West, the Bob Robinsons. What will we be to the world? We have a chance to serve. That's what it's always about. That's what it's about.